William Hickman Ewing, Jr., Captain, U.S. Navy Reserve, retired. My daughter and her husband were teaching at an international Christian school in Korea for 5 years. They called and said, hey, some people in our school have gone on spring break to Vietnam. We're thinking about going. Y'all want to go with us? Well, yeah. So 2010, we flew to Seoul, then we flew to Ho Chi Minh City. And we were there 2 days. Then we flew from the same airstrip I left on in November '66, Tan Son Nhut Airport, to Cam Ranh Bay, same strip I landed on then. It's now an international airport. Took the road up to Nha Trang, stayed in a hotel in Nha Trang. Looks like Hawaii, beautiful place. But we had arranged the tour, so I had my patrol books and I had my map, and I told the people for the tour, that's where I'm going. And they had me a guide who spoke pretty good English and a driver, and that's where we went. We went up to Vung Ro Bay. I got my people's pictures taken there, and I on my laptop I've got a presentation. Here's my picture from '67 of that building. Here's what it looks like now. And people were very friendly. Food was great. You know, and it was really interesting. My guide, he said his dad was in the South Vietnamese Navy. And I said, well, what happened to him? Because, you know, in April of '75, when the country fell, a lot of people got killed. The communists put him in a prisoner camp, re-education camp for 5 years. But what happened to him then? He's still alive. Where is he? He's a rice farmer outside in the trunk. Let's go. So we went out there one night, my guy and I, he could translate. We got pieces of paper, and I'm drawing a map of the coast, which I knew by heart. And we were talking about swift boats. He said, oh yeah, when y'all left, here's what happened to them. You know, we ended up with some of them. They were turned over to the South Vietnamese in 1970, by the way. Even though the Americans didn't pull out till '73, the boats were turned over to the Vietnamese Navy in 1970. And, but anyway, it's fascinating talking to this guy. And he said, man, we have a reunion every year with the South Vietnamese veterans around here, Navy. Won't you come back and come to our reunion? Well, I hadn't been back yet. But very delightful. Only talked to one communist soldier. Only about 3% of the Vietnamese are communists in the party, according to my guy. My guy's very sympathetic, my guide, but we were up in Damon, it's a fishing village where we used to patrol and do medical deals. And I said, man, show me where this house is. And we were going through it, and this Vietnamese military guy came up and said, what are you doing here? I said, man, I used to patrol here. I was here in 1966 and '67. We shook hands, you know. He was friendly. Look, I said, can we get a picture? Because if his picture showed up on Facebook with me, they might send him to education camp. Fascinating. We got there on a Saturday between Good Friday and Easter Sunday to Saigon. And through a friend, he introduced me via email to a pastor in Saigon, a Lutheran. Guy sent a van for us on Easter Sunday. We went to his church. The writing above his church is in Vietnamese, but then in English it says, "In God we trust." And I thought, wow, we're in Vietnam. And even though the government's pretty repressive, you know, you got an above ground church and an underground church there. But so we go in there and they had a piano and a guitar, and they said, we have a piano and guitar. So I said, well, my son plays the guitar, my son-in-law plays the piano. So he said, well, y'all get up and lead some. So I'm leading Amazing Grace, and my son's playing the guitar, and my son-in-law's playing the piano. And about halfway through the service, the guy said, okay, you speak. So I'm, in effect, preaching on Easter Sunday morning in Saigon. And I said, you know, when I was here 45 years ago, I never thought I'd be standing here in front of you guys. And you could see some of the people, they were burned. You know, I mean, you know, some of the older ones, you know they were still there. Oh, here's the last thing I want to say. we went in the museum in Saigon. It's now called the War Remnants Museum. When it opened, it was called the War Crimes Museum. I read in the Unfit for Command book that John Kerry's pictures in there, and it is. I saw it. But we took a tour of that, and I'm pointing out, you know, different things on the map. And of course, the first thing when you walk in is it shows William Calley and the Massacre at My Lai. I mean, so, you know, to the average person, you think all American, it shows Agent Orange, but the people themselves were friendly. When I walked out, they were selling books, and there was a book, and on the front of it is this famous picture of the girl running down the street with no clothes on, 9-year-old girl, and there was napalm attack by the South Vietnamese Air Force on her village, and a photographer got the picture. So the name of the book is The Girl in the Picture. So I bought the book, and I mean, I didn't remember exactly when that happened. It was after I was in country. And on the plane back, I read it, and this girl, you know, because the photographer saved her life, took her to a burn center in Saigon. When the communists took over, they kind of used her as a poster child. You know, this is what happened with the Vietnamese puppet government and the Americans. She was done this. They ultimately sent her to med school in Cuba when she was older. She met a Vietnamese guy there, according to the book, fell in love, flew to Russia, got married in St. Petersburg. Coming back to Canada, they defect. And that's kind of where the book ends. It says she's there now, and she's got a foundation that helps children victims of war all over the world. So I look at the website, and this girl's name is Kim Phuc, P-H-U-C. And I look at the website, the Kim Foundation. And so I'm one of the hospitals, they've got about 10 hospitals they help around the world. Well, I knew a guy that goes to the hospital in Kenya every year. So I just emailed the website, hey, I'm a Vietnam vet, I was swift boat. I read your book, just went back, impressed with your foundation, know a guy that goes to Kajabi, and you know, that was about it. And you know, I'm old now, so I went and took my afternoon nap, and I come downstairs, and my wife said, well, good talking to you, here he is. So I get on the phone, and a female voice said, you know who this is? And I said, no. She said, this is the girl in the picture. She calls me from Canada. I mean, it blew me away. And we talked at length. And I sent a contribution, and I got her video where she's giving her story, and got another copy of the book. And I said, man, and she had been to the Vietnam Memorial before to speak. And I said, man, do you speak? I said, man, you ought to come to Memphis sometime. You know, we got lots of Vietnam vets. We got about 8,000 Vietnamese here. There's a Vietnamese congregation that meets in the church I go to. I'm the liaison with them. You know, and you say, Chow on, maybe they start rattling off like Spanish, Buenos Dias, and they think you can speak it. But I can still speak enough, and you go on the internet and get it translated. But anyway, so we're still working on that, about having her come down. So that's a fascinating, you know, I guess I'm thankful that I came out of Vietnam, out of the Navy. Okay, a lot of victims. My best friend in high school killed on the Riscony, age 24. I was a pallbearer at his funeral the day before I flew to Saigon. He had just been brought back. Had other friends killed. Had two guys who were real good friends, went to Vietnam, committed suicide when they got back, couldn't handle it. I've got one of my brothers that was over there. I mean, he's a victim. I mean, his whole lifestyle has been dysfunctional. So, you know, I'm thankful to be here. God bless the Navy. God bless the United States. Thank you.